What's up, you guys?
Alright, you guys, so I'm here with a new video today, and we are here to talk about why Thunder Dragons just won UDS Mexico. You guys know how we do this here on this series. We go over the deck list, we talk about, key card choices, and we talk about why the deck won the event. What I have in front of you is Andre Torres's first place winning UDS Mexico deck profile. He did play Thunder Dragons, and I know what you guys are thinking. You're looking at this like this is not a standard Thunder Dragon list, and I feel right out of the woodworks that is why this deck won the UDS. There's a lot of card choices in here you don't see in standard Thunder Dragon builds, and we'll talk about it. First off, we'll go into the deck list, and then we'll talk about why I feel the deck won the event. He's been on a roll. He won the 200th YCS with Burning Abyss, the one not in the United States, but he won that one. He won this. He's topped so many events. Like, he's just on a roll, like, constantly. He's always playing, like, different decks, like BA, Thunder Dragons, Sky Strikers, etc. Very, very accomplished player. And shout out to Pro Play Games. They have the original deck profile, which I'll link down below if you guys want to, hear any specific reason from him. But yeah, without further ado, we'll get into his deck list. So we're starting off with, of course, the prize card. I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are just like, well, crap, he played the prize card. I can't play this deck. Well, here's the thing, you guys. I know for a fact if we all had access to the prize card, we would play it. It's kind of like Minerva. If you had access to it, you played it, then eventually it got mass-produced. I don't know if this card will get mass-produced or when it will or if it will, but if you can't play this card, just play another copy of BLS. He played one copy of BLS, one copy of Chaos Dragon, Levianeer, and the One Dragon duo. And he said that he absolutely loved the Chaos monsters. You know how it works, you guys. This being searchable, being able to just banish, trigger your Thunder Dragons and Grave is nuts. BLS is like game. There's also a card in his extra deck he plays that like guarantees game with this card. For the Thunder Dragons, he played 3 Roar, only 2 Hawk. So 2 Hawk was because you really don't want to see this card. You usually want to, you usually just want to banish Roar off Goldstark or whatever, then summon Dark, then tribute Dark, search, either Hawk or whatever, and then use Hawk to get back one of your guys, to tribute for Colossus or Titan, depending on what your play is. So he only played 2 of that. I've seen that in some lists before, so it's not the first time I've seen it. 3 copies of regular Thunder Dragon, self-explanatory. 3 copies of Dragon Dark. He opted to play 1 copy of Snow. So this was a card that a lot of people have actually been talking about playing in this deck, and this is the first time I've seen it in a deck list. So we already know how good Snow is. Banishing all your cards, to get like a quick play Book of Moon is nuts. Also gets a body on board. I think what's really good about it in this deck is that it triggers all the Thunder Dragons, so that's pretty cool. You get rid of your dead spells, traps, etc. So definitely not a bad card. Very interesting that he chose to play this. His extenders, he played these little Chaos Dragons before in a previous deck profile where I believe he got top 8, and it was these little Chaos Dragons, the Collapse Serpent and the Wyva Buster. Basically, these are extender cards. You're able to link with these cards. So very interesting engine. He chose to play this over like instant fusions and stuff. You guys see there's no instant fusions in this deck, so, or multiple copies of Thunder Dragon Fusion as well. So really interesting to see the little Chaos Dragons come back. The 1 Amber, because it's an engine requirement with Brilliant Fusion. 1 Eclipse Wyvern. So this card was really cool. So basically, it was like you would send this card with Brilliant Fusion, and then you could basically like ban it. When it goes to the graveyard, you could banish like the Chaos Dragon. You could banish the Levianeer. You could do that, and then when you banish this, you just add it back. So pretty cool. He even talked about like you scale this, do another effect. So pretty cool. I thought it was interesting. I haven't seen this card either in the deck. Like this, the Chaos Dragons and the Fairy Tale Snow are very new cards that you really don't see in like regular Thunder Dragons. Only 2 copies of Solar. Card's really good. You guys already know. Draw him again at night. Gets a lot of your plays going. If it resolves, it's usually you're in a very, very good position. 2 copies of Phantom Sky Blaster. He talked about how this card, he got this idea from Kamal. Kamal and Blair played it in the Dino Thunder Dragon build that you guys saw, the live profile from Pasadena, and the one Kamal topped at the regional in Florida. So this card's really cool because you're able to, make Saryuja with this. You're able to create link plays. He also talked about when he would get floodgated, just summon Sky Blaster, summon the token, and then make a Phoenix to pop the floodgate. So that's pretty cool. So it does give you a lot of versatility. I think this card's really cool and definitely something we may see in Thunder Dragons going forward. Then his hand traps, he just played 2 Ash, 2 Ogre, 2 Bell. He said that he didn't want any more. He felt that this was the perfect ratio, and I feel it makes sense. They're perfectly balanced at 2 each, and then you see them, and they're just really good. They have their applications against a lot of matches. He emphasized how with Sky Strikers, you want to be able to hit multi-roll, and then being able to bell the Kagari is really, really strong too. And then round out the monsters, you only play 2 copies of Dragon Matrix. So this has become a trend I'm noticing since the YCS Pasadena. I noticed a lot of players are cutting from 3 Dragon Matrix to 2. So it's pretty interesting. It actually is the card you really don't want to see. Like, yes, you can normal summon it. Yes, you can, sack it off for Colossus. You could banish it, search another copy, or, use it for Titan, and it's really good to have with Titan, but I feel like out of all the Thunder Dragons, it's one of the brickiest ones you can't really do too much with, so it makes sense that people have cut it to 2. And no, I mean, you can make Link Kuriboh with it, but honestly, you don't want to be doing that. On the spells, 2 copies of Valor. He's playing a lot of darks in this deck, as you guys notice. Like, most of these, there's a lot more darks in this build of Thunder Dragons than there is like the standard Thunder Dragon, so playing a Lord just, accelerates your deck. 3 copies of Gold Sark, self-explanatory. 1 Reborn, self-explanatory. Played only 1 copy of Thunder Dragon Fusion. He said it was enough. He said he didn't want to see more of it. That's player preference. Some decks play multiple copies. Some go as far as to play 3. I really like this card. I feel it has a lot of cool applications, but I mean, if you can get away with 1, get away with 1. And then 3 Brilliant Fusion. I feel this is like the best engine. I feel this is the best way to play Thunder Dragons. Ever since Ryan Levine and Bowden played that build at Niagara, I noticed a lot of people have been switching to this build because being able to Brilliant Fusion, send Amber, send whatever, and send a Thunder Dragon, get a body on board, start your combos is really strong. And then to round out the deck at 45, 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence for extra hand traps. If you guys, he played a total of 8 hand traps at 2 copies each, so I thought the ratios were pretty cool. Onto his extra deck, 2 copies of Titan, 3 copies of Colossus, pretty standard. The 1 copy of Prismora, because that's one of the main ones you make when you send Amber. It helps you make your Colossus and also make your Titan. He played 1 copy of Seraph Knight, so this was interesting because you would be able to send Eclipse Wyvern, or you would be able to send Fairy Tale Snow. So I think that's really cool. He decided to play this. I noticed not a lot of people play this, so very cool that he actually got this engine to work with Brilliant Fusion having 2 targets, so that's pretty cool. 1 Borreload, self-explanatory. It's probably one of the best rank 4s right now. You need it in the mirror match. You need it against a lot of problematic monsters. You need it to out Borreload itself. So playing this card I feel is pretty optimal in this deck. You may think it doesn't come up that much, but trust me, it will come up, and you definitely want it in your deck. I feel in his deck it can happen more because of Sky Blaster and because of the extenders he has, so it's definitely a good card to include. The 1 Saryuja, I already talked about it. With his extenders, and especially with Phantom Sky Blaster, you make this card more consistently. Draw 4, fix your hand. Pretty solid. 1 Firewall Dragon, Cherry's target, self-explanatory, ban this card. The Nightmares, played 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix. These are the best ones. You don't need Cerebus. You don't need any of the other ones in this deck. Some players don't even play Phoenix, but Unicorn is like standard because you really need this card to, in the mirror, gets rid of Colossus because it spins it back to the deck instead of destroying it, so that's pretty strong. I think Phoenix is good though because you need out to Floodgates, especially when you're playing cards like Sky Blaster. It's like a 1 card out to a Floodgate that's stopping you from playing, so very cool. 1 copy of Summon Summoner, self-explanatory. You make this card a lot with the Battery Man token and stuff like that. It's cool to have good arrows, and also its effect comes up sometimes because you can special Thunder Dragon monster to a zone at points too, so that's pretty strong too. 1 copy of Underclock Taker. This is the card I was talking about. This with BLS is like game. One thing you'll notice is that they don't have access to Summon Sorcerer, so that's one of the reasons we'll talk about why the deck did so well. So he plays this card because this with BLS, this with big monsters is game. Make the opponent's monster 0, just punch over for game. And 1 Link Kuriboh because you can make it with Dragon Matrix. Then just onto his side deck real quick. He has 6 cards to side against the FTK, which is 3 Cherries, 3 Joel. Very standard. I sided this. A lot of people side this. This is just the best way to combat the FTK. Cherries the Firewall, Joel them. They don't get to play. You can come back and beat them because Colossus is pretty strong against the deck, so very solid. 2 copies of Mind Control, self-explanatory for the mirror, really good in the mirror. Just, take your Colossus, get rid of it for Titan, do whatever, it's just good. 3 copies of Twin for back row decks, 2 copies of Swords of Concealing Light. This is a card we haven't seen in a long time. This is another card to use against the mirror match. Basically, it just affects all your opponent's monsters. They're changing defense position and they can't change their position. So what's cool about it is that you just run over all your opponent's monsters, and I think that's pretty solid. So pretty cool. And then 2 copies of Evenly Matched because it's just good against back row decks. So we've gotten to the deck. I talked about how, this deck is not like the standard build you would see here in the United States. And we're getting into one of the main things is why I felt it won the UDS is because this deck has a lot more extenders than standard Thunder Dragons. Beyond Brilliant Fusion, it has, like the little Chaos Dragons. It has Phantom Sky Blaster. It plays Fairy Tale Snow. It plays cards you don't really see in a lot of standard Thunder Dragon decks. I feel that a lot of people do not take advantage of that. They don't realize that the deck can play several extenders, not as many as you would think in a deck, but he did play 45 cards, so it gives you more options when you're going over 40, if you're not, unless you're trying to play like a really consistent build of 40. But I feel with 45, like, you're still going to see all your cards because of how fast the deck can go through itself. Plus with the lore and stuff like that, it draws a lot. I think another thing is the reason why this deck won is because Summon Sork is not legal over in Mexico, so because of that, I feel that's a huge factor, and that's one thing I wanted to address up front. Is a lot of people are going to say, well, one, because Goki's not a deck. Well, Goki's probably still a deck, it's just not as good without Summon Sork. So without Summon Sork, until it comes there into Europe and stuff like that, the deck's not going to be as well represented. I feel that this deck also won because it's very good against Sky Strikers. Now, Sky Strikers, a lot of times their only out is literally Widow Anchor, and if you just set up like multiple Colossus and Titan, they're never going to resolve enough Widow Anchors to beat you unless they somehow open 3 and resolve all 3 with 3 spells engraved, and that requires them to like try to activate more spells. So if they don't have like the optimal spells, they're not going to get anywhere. So I feel that that's one of the things, is if you were expecting a heavy Sky Striker meta, this deck like really destroys it because Colossus is just so strong, and then you can just OTK with the Chaos Monsters. I think that's another reason it won, is he opted to play, even though it's a small engine, a 4 monster chaos engine, in addition to everything he was doing, is really cool, because not only are you getting big bodies on the board like BLS or the prize card or Levianeer or Dragon Duo, any of them, you're also triggering your dragon effects, and by doing that you're just gaining infinite pluses and your opponent's just overwhelmed. So I think those are just really cool monsters. I feel that they're really good because they're standalone cards that don't require the extra deck, so I think that's really, really optimal when playing this deck. That chaos monster should definitely be considered. And I would say overall another reason that this deck won is maybe not a lot of people were expecting it. He said he only played 1 mirror match in Swiss. Again, if you watch the live deck profile, you'll hear that. And I think that's interesting. So that means not as many people were playing this. I'm assuming more people were playing Sky Strikers, more people were playing possibly Altergeist, and possibly playing... well, I said there's like, I guess, versions of Goki. Don't know how good it is. I guess the FTK, and he was prepared for the FTK. If he wins game 1, he has the side deck for game 2, game 3, etc. So I feel that the FTK is no longer a surprise. So being able to be prepared for it, already happens. So I think overall these are the reasons why the deck did so well. He built a really strong list that has a lot of extenders, does more than the standard Thunder Dragon deck, has enough hand traps to counter pretty much anything that tries to stop him, and the deck can just OTK because Chaos Monsters are free summons. So when they're free summons and you trigger monsters for free, kind of just like Dragon Rulers, like how could you not win? So overall, those are my thoughts on why Thunder Dragons won UDS Mexico. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button. If you enjoyed the content, consider backing me on Patreon. Links in the description. I think it's really cool. This guy, Andres, is on an absolute roll. Like, the man's damn near untouchable. He has so many credentials, especially this season, and his decks have just been really innovative, and I really like that. I like that when new versions of the deck arise, that a lot of people are just taken by storm, like, oh wow, I can play these cards. It gives you more options than you thought you had before. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know your thoughts on why you feel Thunder Dragons won the UDS, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.